Welcome back, Wall 414 fans, to another one of my Commander deck profiles. In this one, we're going over my Veronica Dissident Scribe mono red deck, and many people claim that mono red is the worst Commander color, but I think that it has a lot of interesting strengths, and even though Veronica is not a particularly popular Commander, I think she compensates for one of red's key weaknesses and creates a very interesting and fun to play deck. And basically, I'll just talk a bit about red as a color in Commander. In Commander, you want to do three things. You want to draw cards, you want to ramp, and you want to have like a good interaction. And red, I actually like red's ramp, but it struggles to draw cards and it struggles to interact. Now, what red doesn't struggle to do is select cards. There's tons of things that let you draw and discard, but never actually gain card advantage. But Veronica's key aspect is that she turns those card selection cards into card advantage. So let's read her and get into the deck, and you'll see that it works pretty well. A nice little well-oiled machine, if I say so myself. So Veronica Dissident Scribe, she's 3 mana, 2 and a red. Legendary creature, human, artificer, rogue. She's a 3/3 menace, so decent stats. And whenever she attacks, you can discard a card to draw a card. And whenever you discard one or more cards, non-land specifically, for the first time each turn, you create a junk token. Now, a junk token's right here. It's an artifact. You tap it to sack it and exile the top card of your library, and you can play that card this turn. Now, the key thing that this does is it turns all of our card selection spells, like for example this demand answers, from just card selection where you don't actually gain cards to gaining a junk token. And the other thing it does is if we emphasize instant speed card selection spells, we can activate them on our opponent's turn and create multiple junk tokens per turn cycle. So that's the key to this deck, is to constantly be selecting our best cards and creating tons of junk tokens, then using those tokens to either generate advantage or as sack outlets for trash for treasure. And this allows us to bring big artifacts in and also use artifacts that have graveyard abilities that we're sending into the graveyard. So there's a ton of synergy. It's sort of a artifact reanimator, tiny artifact value card selection type deck. It's very fun, very interesting, and I'll get into the card choices. So first off, we got our draw discard spells, and we're going to start off with a red classic, Faithless Looting, 1 red sorcery, draw 2, then discard 2, and then it has flashback for 3. To cast it again, this actually is card disadvantage, though Veronica makes it card neutral when you activate it. Also a great discard target, so you can activate its flashback ability from the grave after discarding it. Then we have Demand Answers, the best of our 2 mana instants. Remember, we want to emphasize instants, so we can activate these on our opponent's turn after creating a junk token in our own turn. This was the best one because you can also sacrifice an artifact or discard a card to draw 2 cards if you're in a pinch. Then you got Sazakap's Brew. You're never really gifting the tapped fish. You're just discarding a card and then drawing 2 cards at instant speed. Also Thrill of Possibility, as a 2 mana instant, as an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. So just a nice little filler that Veronica turns into great card advantage in addition to good selection. Then I also have the 3 mana instance with flashback, Electric Revelation. 3 mana instant, additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and it has flashback, so good discard option to get even more incremental advantage. We take all the advantage we can get in mono red. And also Laughing Mad, the new one with the exact same text. Then we got some of the best ones. Big Score, 4 mana, 3 and a red, as an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2, and create 2 treasure tokens. So it also helps us fill the board up with tiny little artifacts, which you will see is another one of the themes of this deck. Unexpected Windfall has the same text, except it is 2 and 2 red mana, so very nice. And we got a nice little Fallout printing. And then we got some good cards here. Containment Construct is a 2 mana artifact creature. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. So it lets us immediately turn our discarded cards into card advantage. Conspiracy Theorist, which has the same text as well, except you have to cast it as opposed to play it, so you can't discard lands like you can with Containment Construct. But it also allows you to pay 1 to discard and draw a card when you attack, so another little discard outlet as well. Then Inti, Seneschal of the Sun, is a legendary creature, human knight, 2 mana 2/2. And just another very good card, similar to Veronica, that creates card advantage off of your discards. Whenever you discard one or more cards, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until your next end step. This works better if we're discarding on our opponent's turns. And also, when you attack, you can discard a card and put a +1/+1 counter on an attacking creature and give it trample. So also a little discard outlet as well. So there are our discard themed card advantage generators. Next, we're going to go over our tiny artifact token generators. To start off, we got the Loyal Apprentice, one of my favorite cards, a 2-mana 2/1 with haste, and on the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless stop-tier artifact creature token with flying. That token gains haste until end of turn. Just a nice way to get more token generation. Ivora, Insatiable Air, 2-mana 1/1 trample. Whenever it enters and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token, which is an artifact you can sack to discard and draw, so additional synergy there. And also, whenever you discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Ivora, so a great 2-drop that has tons of synergy with all facets of our deck. Then Weapons Manufacturing, I like this 2-mana enchantment from Edge of Eternities. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions. When this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Just another nice way to generate small artifact tokens. The Professional Facebreaker, classic red card, probably one of the best red cards. 3 mana, 2 and a red, 2/3 menace. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, and then you can sacrifice a treasure to exile the top card of your library. You may play this card this turn. Ramp and card draw all in one creature. Very nice. Rose Cutthroat Raider. It's a 4-mana artifact creature. 3/2 first strike, and at the end of combat on your turn, if you attack this turn, create a junk token for each opponent you attack, and whenever you sacrifice a junk, add red mana. So great ramp, great token generation, continued junk token synergy, just a great card with our deck. And it's an artifact. And then these are some small artifact token payoffs. Dragonspark Reactor, one of my favorites in my Mr. House deck. 2-mana artifact. Whenever it or another artifact, any artifact, enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on Dragonspark Reactor. And then for 4 mana, you can sacrifice it to deal damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to target player and 1 creature. This is really helpful for finishing games. We're making tons of tokens, as you can see from this whole section, so you can really pump that Dragonspark Reactor up to a few dozen counters on it and get some kills, kill someone's commander. Really helps you in the end game. Then we got Devastating Onslaught, another nice card from Edge of Eternities. It is 1 red and XX, and you create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Those tokens gain haste until end of turn. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Another nice artifact token creator. This is more of a big finisher for the deck, and it does a great job at that. Next, we've got our graveyard-themed cards, and we're starting off with Trash for Treasure, 3-mana sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So as you can see, nice little payoff for all of our tiny artifact token generation, as well as filling up our graveyard with our own discard. That's really the purpose of this whole reanimation section, is taking advantage of the fact that we're constantly discarding and we're constantly generating small artifact tokens. Feldon of the Third Path, a 3-mana creature, 1 and 2 red, human artificer. He's a 2/3. And for 3 mana, you can tap him to put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature card in your graveyard, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste, and you sack it at the beginning of the next end step. So nice payoff for putting good cards in our graveyard with our constant rummaging. Duretti Scrap Savant, a 4-mana planeswalker. He starts with 3 loyalty counters, and you can uptick him for 2 to discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards. That's not that bad, but what we really want to do is -2 to sack an artifact and return target artifact card from our graveyard to the battlefield. I wish there was more mono-red artifact reanimation. There's a few cards that do it, but I wish there was enough to make this a real big artifact reanimation themed deck like Arcade, but it's a great sub-theme as well. Scrap Mastery. This is a really, really good card. It's Living Death for artifacts. It's 5 mana, 3 and a red sorcery. Each player exiles all artifact cards from his or her graveyard, then sacks all artifacts they control, then puts all cards he or she exiled this way onto the battlefield. Just a great late game finisher after you have filled your graveyard up. with artifacts. Just make sure that you're getting value out of your junk tokens first before you use this, getting value out of your treasures. But it's actually not that big a deal that we have to sack all the artifacts we control, because all the artifacts we make all also have good value just in their own right. Then we got Anger, just a great card to discard, especially in mono red, where we'll always have a mountain, 4 mana, 2/2 haste. But when it's in your graveyard, which is important, you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste. Just a fantastic card for this type of deck. Then Squee, Goblin, Naboob. 3 mana, 1/1, but more importantly, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee from your graveyard to your hand. So just always pitch this, and then constantly card advantage. Reminds me of Thunder Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! If you know that card. And now for the big fellas. These are the artifacts that we plan on reanimating, or maybe even just hard casting, then reanimating later. But the first one, Psychosis Crawler. It's a 5 mana star, kind of obvious inclusion in a discard draw themed deck like this. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in our hand, and whenever we draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. We're constantly cycling through the deck, and it's an artifact. Just great synergy on this one. Next we got Ruin Grinder. This is a 6 mana 7/4 menace. When it dies, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards, but importantly it has mountain cycling too, which can trigger Veronica. So we could put itself in the graveyard very easily, also generate a junk token on its way there, and keep us hitting our land drops. I really like having cyclers in this type of decks, plus it's an artifact creature, so just great synergy there. And then another similar card, Sojourner's Companion, 7 mana 4/4 affinity for artifacts, but more importantly it's got artifact land cycling too. And so that just really works well with this deck. And so we're running the artifact lands, which also can be reanimated, so there's a little extra synergy there as well. Next we got big artifacts that also have in-graveyard abilities. Because there's not enough artifact reanimation for me to be super confident in that, I wanted artifacts that, if I discard them to the graveyard, are valuable in their own right. The first one is Soul and New Phyrexia, 6 mana 6/6 trample. And while it's on the field, you can pay 5 to give everything indestructible. And while it's in the graveyard, you can pay 5 to exile it from the graveyard and give permanents you control indestructible. This is especially useful in mono red, as there really aren't that many protection spells in mono red. So even though we're paying a premium to make everything indestructible, we usually don't have the ability to do so in mono red. So I liked this one. And then another good one is Scavenge Brawler. A 6 mana 4/4 flying vigilance trample lifelink, but more importantly, for 5 mana, you can exile it from the graveyard to choose target creature, usually choosing Veronica, and put 4 +1/+1 counters, a flying counter, a vigilance counter, a trample counter, and a lifelink counter on that creature. And this really helps us pivot into a commander damage centric plan. We're going to get some early hits in with our menace, but we're not really a commander damage deck. But with Scavenge Brawler in there, we can start really putting in the hurt with Veronica. Again, that's a lot of bonuses. You can also put them on any of the other big artifacts you see, so great value from this guy. Even if you reanimate him, he has a ton of keywords on him in his own right. Then we just have some big powerful artifacts that I like. Unlike my arcade deck, which focuses exclusively on artifact creatures so we can maximize the number of reanimation spells, we're running fewer reanimation spells as a consequence of being a mono red, but they all face all artifacts. So it's artifact creatures and big artifacts. I'm going to be putting the platinum chip from the secret lair in here, but that's a while off and I wanted to make this video. But the first big mono red artifact is the Combustible Gear Hulk, 6 mana, 4 and 2 red, 6/6 first strike. And when it enters, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If they don't, you can mill 3, and then it deals damage to equal to the total mana value of those cards. As we're a graveyard-centric deck, we don't mind milling 3. We like dealing damage, and if they get scared and let us draw, that's huge for us, so great card. Then we got the End Stone, one of the 9-creature artifacts I was referring to. It's a 7 mana artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card, and at the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total, rounded up. This really compensates for a lot of mono red's weaknesses. One of the big ones is card draw. This is obviously huge to get off card draw wise. But also, you might be worried about going down to 20, but I actually like it as going up to 20 in the late game, as mono red has little to no healing whatsoever. So I think the Endstone is a great choice for this type of deck. Extinguisher Battleship. It's 8 mana spacecraft. And when it enters, you destroy target non-creature permanent, then the spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. Mono red struggles with dealing with non-creature permanents, specifically enchantments, so I like having this in there. But then also, Only stationing 5 for a 10-10 flying trampler is actually very, very good. This is a insane card, actually. You can play this in a lot of decks. I really like this one of my favorite cards from the Edge. And now this might be my favorite card from the Edge, the Depth Shaker Titan. It's 7 mana, 5 and 2 red, 5/5 artifact creature robot. And when this creature enters, any number of target non-creature artifacts you control become 3/3 artifact creatures. Sack them at the beginning of your next end step. And each artifact creature you control has melee, trample, and haste. This might be the red Crater Hoof Behemoth for tiny artifact decks, which this is one. Probably the best card in the deck. Fantastic finisher. There's quite a few quality finishers here. Even I was surprised by the card quality for a mono red. I like this card's insane. The whole deck actually comes together really well. I really like, and I think this is the centerpiece. This is the crown jewel. I love this card so much. I want them to print more cards like Depth Shaker Titan for this archetype. Next up, we're gonna go through all the ramp. As I said before, I actually kind of like the mono red ramp, but first we're gonna start out with the colorless cards that I really like. Wayfarer's Bauble. Just a classic piece of land ramp, but also a tiny artifact as well, which, as you saw, is something we go after in this deck. Dauntless Scrapbot, another new card, 3 mana, 3/1, and when it enters, you exile each opponent's graveyard and make a lander token, which is just a Wayfarer's Bauble token. So just a great piece of graveyard hate, artifact synergy, and colorless ramp, land ramp I like. And then Solemn's great in this deck. As you can see, we love taking advantage of tiny artifacts. We love reanimating Solemn. We love land ramp. So yeah, great Solemn deck. And here's the quality red ramp. Curse of Opulence, a 1 mana enchantment curse. You enchant player. Whenever enchanted players attack, create a gold token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. It's an artifact with a sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. So this ramp really works well with our small artifact theme, but it also really works well in getting other people to attack someone at the table, really works well with table politics. A lot of people are just going to be like, oh, of course I'll attack them, I get a gold token. This card's actually kind of crazy, and you ramp too, and you make tiny artifacts. Yeah, mono red ramp you'll see is pretty good. Dowsing Device, another one that works really well with this deck. A 2 mana artifact. Whenever it enters the battlefield under your control, up to 1 target creature you control gets, whenever Dowsing Device or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, up to 1 target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Then you transform Dowsing Device if you control 4 or more artifacts. It's very easy to transform this card, and it transforms into a land that taps for red. So just a great additional piece of value on all the junk tokens we're creating that also turns into a land, so we don't get as blown out by artifact removal. Cursed Mirror, fantastic mana rock. It's a 3 mana rock that taps for red. We don't care about non-red color fixing, so great in mono red. And when it enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. So this lets us get initial value out of our mana rocks before they become mana rocks, and also we don't really mind having a mana rock on the field too much. We like our tiny artifacts. Brass's Tunnel Grinder. This is a fantastic card. This just goes in any red deck, I think. 3 mana, 2 and a red, legendary artifact. When it enters, discard any number of cards and draw that many cards +1. So nice little bit of card selection, card advantage actually, because Brass's Tunnel Grinder stays on the field. And at the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, which is putting stuff in the graveyard, which we're doing often, put a boar counter on Brass's Tunnel Grinder. Then if there are 3 or more boar counters on it, remove those counters and transform it. And unlike the Dowsing Device, I'm actually going to show off this land real quick because it's a very good land, as opposed to the Dowsing Device one, which just kind of taps for red. It turns into Takutlan, the Searing Rift, which just taps for red. But whenever you cast a permanent using mana produced by the land, you discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. That's huge for card advantage, which red really struggles with. This Brass's Tunnel Grinder is insane. Then finally, speaking of insane cards, Mana Geyser. 5 mana sorcery, add a red for each tapped land your opponents control. Yeah, if you cast this on turn 5 and everyone curved out, that's 5 mana, make 15 red. What? This card is probably the best red card in Commander, maybe? It might be. It should definitely be a game changer. I mean, Breach and Jessica's Will are up there. I don't know. Mana Geyser is definitely in the top 5. This card's crazy. no one else thinks this card is crazy. Like, you'll play Mana Geyser and people will be like, what, whatever. But then they're like, wait a minute, how much mana are you adding? Like this card's insane. Next up, we're going over our mono red card draw section. I know that Veronica adds card advantage to our card selection, but it's also nice to just have some additional card draw to keep the engine going, and there are enough good options to have a solid little section here, like the Idol of Oblivion, 2-mana artifact, draw a card. If you create a token this turn, we're creating tokens every turn, hopefully, so great card to include. Mask of Memory, we're equipping this on Veronica. She has Menace. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 and discard 1, so just a nice little bit of card draw that also actually works with our theme as well, so very good. Here's a card I like for monocolored decks, the Zenith Chronicler. A 2-mana artifact creature, 3/1. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. We're never triggering this. Our opponents are triggering this when they summon their commander. Great turn 2 play that we're always coming out ahead on. Here's a red card I really like, Connect the Dots, 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. Note that's not attacks a player, that's attacks. So if you have attack with 5 creatures, you exile up 5 cards face down. And then for 2 more mana, you discard your hand and sacrifice this to put all exiled cards with Connect the Dots into their owner's hands. So this can be like a 4-mana draw 8. Like, this will refill your hand completely get you back in the game. Fantastic mono red card draw. Here's another good one from Edge of Eternities. Lots of mono red tools in that one. 3-mana artifact. Whenever you attack a player, unfortunately it's a player, put a charge counter on this artifact, and for 1 mana you remove 2 charge counters to discover 4. Discover 4 is almost even better than drawing in this deck. We don't have too high of a mana curve, and apart from our big artifacts that we want in the graveyard anyway. So we should be getting something good out of Discover 4. And it's also just another artifact for our artifact synergies. Count on Luck is a 3-red enchantment, all 3 red. And at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. I like this card in mono red because it's pretty easy to hit the 3 red pips. But I don't have too many of these Outpost Siege style effects because I think 4 mana is too much for him. But I like this one for 3 mana. It's still a little worse than Phyrexian Arena, but we're in mono red, so, forgive us for being a little limited on options. Then we got some fun ones. The Ox of Agonis. It's a 5-mana 4/2, and whenever it enters the battlefield, discard your hand and draw 3 cards. Good for playing this when as the last card in your hand to give you some advantage, but also importantly, it escapes for 2 red and exiling 8 other cards from your graveyard. So that means this is a great card to fill your graveyard with. We're constantly cycling. Then for 2 mana, you can bring them out of the battlefield and exile 8 other crappy cards that we didn't need in the graveyard. So yeah, very good card advantage in our discard reanimation themed deck. Then another one I really like, Clive, Ifrit's Dominant. He's 6-mana 5/5, and when he enters, you may discard your hand and draw cards equal to your devotion or red. We actually have a fair amount of good red permanents in this deck and cards with multiple red pips, so it's very, very handy for refilling our hand. Then for 6 mana, you exile him to return him to the battlefield transformed, and he is a Saga creature. Ifrit, Warden of the Inferno, and he comes in as a 9/9 that fights something, so a nice little targeted removal. Then the other 2, you get a nice ramp you add for red mana, and then return it back to the battlefield, and you can get its enters trigger again, so tons of value off of Clive. Next up, we'll be going over the mono-red interaction. I think red's interaction is kind of weak, so I'll go over my philosophy for it first. First of all, there's a few pretty good mono-red interaction cards I didn't include just because of budget, like Tybalt's Trickery, which is like $10. And basically my philosophy on interaction is I don't like running bad interaction cards that might not be applicable in certain situations. Instead, I'll just run more on-plan cards or more interaction cards that red is good at. And unfortunately, red really isn't good at removing enchantments or having single target removal that targets a lot of stuff, or protecting itself from board wipes. But what red is good at is target switching and combat stuff. And so you'll see that I kind of eschewed a more traditional interaction package just to focus on the package that Red excels in particular, because I think that you should be going all in on doing stuff well and not trying to run mediocre interaction pieces that don't always help you. And first off, we got Chaos Warp, which I really like. 3 in a red, instant. Owner of target permanent shuffles it into the library, so it's permanent removal. And they reveal the top card of their library and put it on the battlefield, but hopefully they whiff. Then we got another one, Wild Magic Surge, which is 2 red instant, and it destroys target permanent an opponent controls. Unfortunately, unlike Chaos Warp, they can never whiff because their controller reveals cards from the top of the library until they reveal a permanent card that shares a card type with that permanent and put that onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of the library. But I still like having the option to remove any troublesome permanent, and unlike Chaos Warp, you know for a fact they were getting something different, so you got to be judicious with what you remove with this, but I like the flexibility and being able to handle anything. Next, we got the red board wipes. I've seen better in my life, but hey, you know we're playing mono red. Chain reaction, 4 mana, 2 and 2 red. Deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. Nice sweeper for creatures. Spiteful Banditry is 2 red and an X, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to each creature. So it's kind of mana intensive, but whenever one or more creatures your opponents control die, you create a treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn. So this piece of removal really works with our game plan of making tons of tiny artifacts, and you can just play this for X equals 0 on turn 2 as a piece of ramp, so I liked how versatile it is. Then Blasphemous Act, just a classic, gotta include that. Then Vandal Blast, another red classic. I'm not the biggest fan of this card, but in mono red I guess I am, because wipes out artifact decks, also a nice piece of single target removal. I didn't want to go too in on artifact only removal, which I think some people make the mistake of in mono red. You don't really need too much, but Vandal Blast is a good one because it works as a single target end sweeper. Now I'm talking about the more versatile interaction. You got Return the Favor, one of my favorite cards. 2 red instant with Spree, and you can either copy target instant, sorcery, activated ability, or triggered ability, or you can change the target of a single target or spell or ability, or you can do both. So very versatile. You can use it to copy ramp spells. You can use it to protect your commander and remove something else. You can use it to copy whatever you need to copy, or defend whatever you need to defend. Just super versatile interaction, one of the things red excels at. Will's Reversal is another example of this. For 2 in a red, it's an instant. You can choose target spell or ability with 1 or more targets, not just single targets. And you can roll a d20, and depending on your roll, you either choose new targets or choose new targets and then copy the spell. So you can get tons of value off this. I like how it's both of these are versatile in that you can change the targets of spells or abilities. That's notable. Some of them only do spells. Here's some protection I liked. As I mentioned before, red has trouble generating Indestructible, but Slowbad Goblin Tinkerer is a nice 2-drop, 2 mana, 1/2, and you can sacrifice an artifact to give a target artifact Indestructible. We have lots of tiny artifacts running around, and we'll be playing lots of big artifacts from our artifact reanimation, so he's actually pretty useful and does something a little not traditionally red, but a classic Slowbad, so I like him in this one. Flare of Duplication was the duplication spell I went for. For 3 mana, 1 and 2 red, or sacking a non-token red creature, you can copy target instant or sorcery spell and choose new targets for the copy. Doesn't copy abilities, but I really like the versatility of being able to play it for free. Then here's some fun red interaction. Maximum Carnage, one of my favorites. 5 mana enchantment saga. And it has Better Goad on the first one. Until your next turn, each creature attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. The next one, just nice little ramp. And then the third one, nice little bit of burn. So great Goad spell that gives you additional value. I'm surprised this card isn't more popular. I think it's because it's a Spider-Man card. Disrupt Decorum, just a nice 4 mana Goad. All creatures you don't control. I'll probably be cutting this for the Platinum chip, but I do really like this. I haven't decided exactly what I'm cutting yet. And then here's another fun mono red card, Isengard Unleashed for 5 mana, 2 and 3 red. Damage can't be prevented this turn, so you win the fog meta. And if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, it deals triple that damage instead. big finisher. Also has flashback for 7 mana, and we are a discard/graveyard deck, so I really like this one as something uniquely mono red. I think that this card is a better include than a card like a Braid, which will miss hitting important creatures or enchantments. I'd rather take the opportunity of that card slot to do something unique that red can accomplish. Finally, we have the utility land section. This section is accompanied by a bunch of mountains. I don't think we need to go through those. But let's start off with Access Tunnel. Just a colorless land that for 3 mana, target creature at power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. Nice for triggering Veronica's attack trigger. Gyre Reach Sanitarium, same thing, colorless land. For 2 mana, you can tap each player's draws and discards. So just a nice way to trigger Veronica. Can do this on other turns as well. At instant speed, Demolition Field, classic. Scavenger Grounds, classic. I put them in every deck. Sundering Eruption, nice little destroy target land MDFC that red uses. But important to note, creatures without flying can't block this turn, so there is some versatility to it if there isn't a good target for the land. Pinnacle Monk just returns instant or sorcery from the graveyard to your hand. Especially useful in this deck, but probably useful in any deck that can play it. Myriad Landscape, nice land ramp. We're in mono red. Terrain Generator, we're running like 26 mountains, so I figured terrain generators, if there's any deck terrain generator is good in, it's this one. Drownyard Temple, great target to pitch into the graveyard. Then when you have the 3 spare mana, you can just do a little more land ramp. I like this one. Then the artifact lands in order to turn on our Sojourner's Companion. So there you go. There's my Veronica mono red deck. I think it's very fun. I really like playing it. And I really like the whole artifact synergy theme. And yeah, that'll be my last video for a while, I think. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do one on Yes Man or Rex or Boone or whoever. I think I'm it for me. I made deck lists for them, but I don't think I'm going to buy the cards. I got enough Commander decks already. If anyone's interested in seeing those deck lists, just leave a comment. Maybe I'll drop a link for you. Or you can just check out my Architect profile. I'll make them all public, I guess. I have one Architect follower. I love that guy. Anyway, that's Wall414 signing off for you on my New Vegas Commander decks.